Here it is. Pull it up in Google's media player. Only 10 minutes into the stream. That's fine.
Why do we spend so much money on Israel?
Oh, let me correct the audio for a bit. Well, to answer that first question of yours, why do we spend so much on Israel? Because it is a significantly strategic foothold in the Middle East. We use it to control the Suez Canal. That's just southwest of the country. Having a military base in that region of, well, the entire country is effectively a military base, but having our militaristic foothold in that portion of the Middle East really keeps us in check relative to the Arab powers in the area. And we just need geopolitical leverage everywhere. As a matter of fact, Israel will not confirm nor deny as to whether they have nukes or not. So, this is clearly a nation of vital strategic importance to us, which is why, America has never hesitated to geopolitically align themselves with Israel.
Over my decades of military service, as the Deputy Commander of the United States European Command, and now as a security advisor, I've often heard people make this complaint. The truth is we don't spend enough, which is...
Well, billions upon billions of dollars over the course of decades is what I'm convinced is enough. Like, we barely spend money on our own people. Like, okay, Israel has public healthcare, publicly subsidized healthcare. Am I familiar with the intricacies of it? No. But, they do have some sort of national healthcare plan. We have not even gotten a public option here yet. And the single-payer programs we have here are only given to veterans, people over the age of 65, or people deeply, deeply steeped into poverty so they can qualify for Medicaid. But we are significantly missing a portion of people with healthcare. Also, wages aren't keeping up with inflation because of corporate greed. Corporations don't really, price for living wages. They only price, for markets. And, relative to how their stock portfolios can perform and their CEO compensations, our infrastructure is crumbling. Our tax systems, specifically property tax systems, can't even relatively account for what's needed to adequately fund public schools. And we continue to bolster our defense and send it to, fascistic settler colonial states.
Spend more, and for purely selfish reasons. Every dollar we spend...
Well, I'm glad you said the quiet part out loud.
...on Israel is a dollar spent, in effect, in our own defense.
Why? They're on the other side of the world. Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, they're on the other side of the world. Like, literally, how the fuck should we care?
As a value proposition, it's all in America's favor. Let me explain.
Okay.
But before I do, let me just say this. I can easily defend why America supports Israel on moral grounds alone. I've been
moral by whose standard? Your own?
there on numerous...
buddy, I beg to differ. I mean, IDF members constantly killing Palestinian children and having instances like those be swept under the rug would beg to differ. The egregious human rights abuses by Amnesty, or as reported by Amnesty International, beg to differ, pal.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
It's a good and decent country. Given the neighborhood it lives in, I find
full of fascists.
That both remarkable and admirable.
Yeah. So the subtle implication here is that, the countries around it want Israel to cease to exist as a nation state. Okay. Well, the Palestinians did not, in essence, actually agree to the 1948 partition plan. I mean, if you look at the original Jewish settlements, it does not roughly align with, an actual constructive vision of what the Palestinians and the Israelis were given. It is so ridiculously one-sided. Orders over time. And here we can actually, because I'm going to share a different screen, we can actually get to the real meat and potatoes. as to like what's going on in Palestine. So we can see here, my cursor is pointing at the original Jewish settlements that were under mandatory Palestine. Now here was the actual here was the UN partition, and here was the war after the 1948 war. The Arab states were infuriated at Israel because it was, absolutely taking swaths and swaths of rightfully Palestinian land. So, like, how do you justify spending billions upon billions of dollars over time on Israel? Oh, hey.
Hi, you see? Hello, you see me?
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, why did you go into that? Why you don't have my StreamYard, my other one?
No, I guess I've been, removed from the plan, or I don't know what happened.
Yeah, but I see you're an admin there. Anyway, let's do this, man. My camera.
Yeah. We can run a show just like this.
Yeah, and I'll copy it off yours when I finish. Because I'm using a different I'm using Firefox. All right, so how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty fine.
Nice to see you. I'm sorry, man. I was late. I tried to fix the camera. My wife touched something and she fucked it up. So I think she tried to mess up the whole thing for us. Anyway, where are you up to? Do you talk about Gaza?
Yeah. I had just gone over Biden's visit to Israel and how the King of Jordan withheld the talks because Palestine wasn't getting the humanitarian aid, which of course, that always happens. But I'm going over this prageru video currently, and they're just endlessly lying about the situation. So,
okay, let's go. Prager is by Dennis Prager is the biggest Zionist. Him and what's his name? Shapiro. They should have the same pants. How do I look? Okay.
You look fine.
Okay,
you look great. Yeah.
Yeah, because okay, go ahead.
So the context of this is, a guy who was involved in U.S. militaristic defense. I think he was like, an officer with NATO. Yeah. He's justifying spending more money on Israel's militaristic capabilities. The video is literally titled, "Why does America spend so much on Israel?" Okay, well, it's a very strategic location in the Middle East. It's used to control the Suez Canal. It has, relative access to all the Arab states in that region. So, it's just our proxy.
But the Arab states do more for the United States than Israel does. You understand? They always you have 10,000 base in Qatar, 10,000 American soldiers, air base. That Qatar pays for everything from A to Z. You have the biggest fleet. The first fleet is in Bahrain. So Israel is just a fucking freeloader. That's all it is. And tonight, the idiot Biden, who was unnecessary to go at this moment to Israel. You already sent the carriers, right? You already sent the carriers. You already said we stand with Israel. You already said we got your back. That gangster move you did. But when you go in there and you start hugging the biggest criminal, Netanyahu, the Arab world is watching it. 2 billion people. They're like, what are you doing, America? I thought, you were a referee in this situation instead of taking side. It was unnecessary, that visit. Now tonight he's going to go and give them another $10 billion for no reason. I don't know how you feel about Israel, but Israel is not worth the money you get. It's an apartheid state. It's a criminal entity. I'm not talking about the citizen. The Jews are okay with me. For people mistaken, they're like, "Oh, you hate Israel, then you're anti-Semite." No, that's two different things.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like this is the perfect argument as to why Zionism in and of itself is anti-Semitic. I mean, I'm making a bold statement with that, but a part of the reason Israel was created and has been supported over the decades, despite its numerous human rights abuses, is because the evangelicals, American predominantly Protestant evangelicals believe, the rapture is necessary because once their Messiah comes, all the Jews will be like, raptured into oblivion, and Israel
They're
will be theirs to claim,
Yeah,
especially Jerusalem.
either then they accept Jesus or they get killed. Look at the fucking relationship. It's like a relationship of fucking evil. You
Yeah,
know that
like mafia shit.
Israel, the idea of Israel started in the 1800s, the 1900s by British evangelists, like Christian Zionists, they call them.
Yeah.
They're the one who propped up. They had this idea that to bring Jesus is not coming right now. He's been on the. They're the one who started the whole.
I mean, 2023 years seems like a long time.
Yeah, but I mean the whole idea. They started it and they pushed the Zionist movement, and they did the Balfour Declaration. I think it's 1917. I don't know what year it was. Anyway, like you just said, you're right. You're absolutely right. We have the Christian Zionists. Let's call them Christian Zionists because they have nothing to do with Christianity. They're all fucking phony.
Yeah.
They rather support Israeli causes instead of supporting the Palestinian Christians. The poorest Christians in the world are the Palestinian Christians, and they dwindle in because they have no support. They leave Palestine and all this area, and they just migrate to the United States and leave their homes. Why don't you help those people? You know what I'm saying? If you really are into this Christian stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and they also hate the Christians in Lebanon. They don't give a single shit about the Christians.
Yeah, they
in
spit on them.
Palestine, and the poor Christians, in the West Bank.
You saw those videos in Jerusalem that when the Jewish, the Zionists, all the Jewish extremists, they spit on Christian. I don't know. It has to do something with the religion.
These nuns were just like talking amongst themselves and minding their own business. For whatever reason, they had to just wait outside for something. I don't know. And these ultra Orthodox Jews just come by and spit on their feet.
I think it has to do something with because they don't spit at the Muslims, and they hate the Muslims too. But there's a certain thing about spitting on Christians. I don't know. It has to do something in the Talmud or whatever it is. But anyway, let's not make it religiously an issue. The whole issue right now, you have almost 4,000 Palestinians dead. Did you see that interview with Piers Morgan and that comedian Bassam Youssef?
No, not yet.
Oh, you gotta see that. Almost 12 million views they had it. He's like Jon Stewart. You know Jon Stewart?
Yeah.
He's the same thing. He's the Jon Stewart of the Middle East. He's very smart, and he did it through a comedian way where he dismantled Piers Morgan and the Jewish stand, the Israeli stand, what they doing to the Palestinians. Anyway, go continue. So I'll just add on. I don't want to be disruptive because I wasn't here, so I don't know how far you was in the conversation. Sorry, people.
No, yeah, we had just gone over the Biden video, which was like a 1.5 minute video. Now we're about 45 seconds into this, so
okay, good. Yeah.
PragerU has really bad liars, and what I mean by that is they suck at being deceitful. So I don't really have to fact check this video because what I've done is I've pre-watched it. And, I've just said to myself, okay, I can, rebuke this video, just by going off the brain. I don't really have to research anything because I know all the bullshit talking points.
And admirable. But I will make this argument solely on the basis of America's security.
Again, by your own
partnership with Israel is unique. Unlike most of our current treaty alliances.
Yeah, because, we act like it's the 51st state or whatever.
Yeah, more than that.
As tripwires on Israel's front lines. This is because Israel takes care of itself. America forgot.
Israel takes care of itself.
No, it does.
Billions and billions in U.S. subsidies.
So is that really
taking care of yourself?
You know that attack shook the whole military. There's a problem here. They killed a lot of soldiers. There was a compound, Israeli compound there with Israeli soldiers and tanks. Yep. They caught them by surprise and they killed them. And they were so fucking smart, these guys. They had even IDF uniforms. So what happened is when the IDF came, it took them 6 hours to come to help. So something is going on over here. Then when those guys came, they killed more Jewish civilians than the terrorists because they had a crossfire. So they didn't know who was who from who. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So it was on the radio in Israel. The lady said it, and they just shut it down. I'm going to look for it and give it to you when we ever get a chance. And the Israeli soldiers came. There was a frenzy, and they just started attacking the Palestinian resistance fighters. And most of the killing that happened with civilians is at the hand of the IDF, because they say
Mhm.
there's burned bodies. If there was burned bodies, the Palestinians don't have that kind of weapon to fucking burn you to death. You know, like strong weapons, because what they have,
Mhm.
AK-47, probably an M16, whatever they had. But it shook the whole army. Right now, the Israeli army is not the army of yesterday. It's all Xbox players, PlayStation, pizza
Yeah.
eaters. They're all nerds. I'm telling you, they're all
Yeah, yeah,
nerds.
they're like kids off the street. Okay, so how the IDF does things is, mandatory conscription.
Yeah.
So the vast majority of people in it are like these, really, hormone,
They,
juiced
they,
up fucking, children. They're like boys. They're like
they
little
can't.
boys, some girls.
Not only they don't have the will, they don't want to die because life is good for them. Like the Palestinian, even if he delayed it, he has every incentive to die. He doesn't have anything. His village, whatever his town or country, is all blocked. Every day he gets shot at. His family, probably every Palestinian home has a dead uncle, a dead brother at the hand of the Israeli occupation. So there's that hatred for the Israeli soldier already in the Palestinian fighter's mind. And when you are the attacker, you don't have the same stomach to take losses like the one who's defending his home. You understand where I'm coming here from?
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so the Israeli soldier, he's going if they go in a ground, if they go into Gaza, it's going to be hell. It's going to
Mhm.
be hell. You're going to see, and they are fearing that. They're trying to think about it. If you saw Biden said, "Don't make the same mistakes we did in 9/11 when we just reacted and when all these countries and we end up losing."
That's what you're doing now.
Huh?
That's what the State Department and
Yeah.
Biden in general and these establishment liberals, these Zionists, are doing now. Because okay, this is the same mentality. Keep in mind, this is the same mentality that got us into Vietnam, the Gulf War, Operation Just Cause, Iraq too,
Yeah.
Afghanistan for over the span or just in the span of 3 decades. I mean, like, and they claim to want to end these forever wars, but they're
Yeah.
not given the conditions to be right. They're not making it to where we can actually come to the negotiating table, and
Because
which is why I agree with the King of Jordan. You're not giving the Gaza Strip the rightfully deserved humanitarian aid.
not only
So,
that, he the Israel doesn't. Israel, if it makes peace, it loses money because it gets $4 billion a year. There's no incentive for them to make peace. Imagine
mhm,
you get an income every year. But if you do something, then you lose that money. You're gonna keep on continue doing what you're doing just to get that $4 billion every year. There's no incentive. One time, a long time ago, George W. The father, W, not W, what's his name? PH, I don't know,
HW.
HB. Yeah, the father, not the idiot. They give
Well,
they
he's
used to give,
an idiot too.
yeah, the old idiots. They used to give Israel a $10 billion loan every year. Interest free. He stopped it. He froze it, and there was a big deal because they were building the settlements, and they stopped. Right now, even tonight, Biden's going to go on TV. I don't know how much billions of dollars he's going to give them. There's no incentive for them to go to the negotiating table because they stand to lose income. It's all about
Mhm,
the money at the end of the day. Because if you make peace with the Palestinian, the $4 billion is going to go away because
yeah,
you don't need it no more. You
yeah,
understand what's going on over here?
yeah, absolutely, and that's
Yeah,
probably why
yeah,
they're obstructing the flow of humanitarian aid to Gaza from
they're
that
starving them.
little
Yeah,
port through Egypt.
yeah,
Because they don't want to come to the negotiating table. They want the King of Jordan and subsequently, pretty much all of the Arab states in that region to be enraged at them, so they can continue justifying their wars. It goes, way back to the original Zionist plan. I mean, Ben
yeah,
Gurion has been
yeah,
quoted as saying so many times, time after time again,
yeah,
partition is only the first step in realizing Zionism's true goal.
yeah,
For Zionism in its purest form to manifest, we, the nation of Israel, have to create an elite army and,
yeah.
conquer the
Oh,
Palestinian
yeah,
state,
and the other country like Jordan. Oh, from I think it's called from the Mediterranean. I don't know to where to the Sea of Galilee.
Mediterranean.
Yeah, here's the idea: is that let's stop the video for a second. Let's have a little conversation.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been thinking like Israel doesn't want the one state solution, right? That is, they don't want it because it's gonna make them a minority, right or wrong, right?
Yeah.
So, and also they don't want the two-state solution because they're building settlements in the West Bank. So that's killing the idea of the two-state settlement, the
Yeah,
solution.
yeah, yeah. And Palestine would probably get Jerusalem, which,
Yeah.
would
So
undermine the
yeah,
Zionist claim.
so you ask the question why? Why Israel is killing the two-state solution by building more settlements? That's forcing the one-state solution that they want. I knew there was something in the works. What they want to do a genocide. I want. Oh, they needed a crisis like this to drive as many Palestinians as they can out of Gaza to Sinai to Egypt, and just do what they've been doing. The same playbook. 1967, they ran away because they were afraid. In 1948, the massacres that took place in Dar Yassin, where the Israeli militia at that time was a militia, killed a lot of women and children to scare them so they could leave the villages. So right now, but Egypt said no, it's not going to happen. He said we're not going to let them in because he said even if they let him in, it's going to create more problem for us because they're going to start attacking you from there. Then you're going to start attacking them in Egypt. Then that's our sovereign. You see, the Egyptian president, it made sense for the first time. He told him it's not happening, and the Jordan president said it's not happening, and the Palestinian leadership is not. Nobody's leaving because you see the game plan was you got to leave the north because we want to kill Hamas. Hamas is going to move with them to the south. They want to move everybody to the south, right by the border with Rafah, with where the gateway is to Egypt.
Hmm.
So if they start a war, they start killing a lot of people. People are going to get scared. What do people naturally do? They run away because they're scared for their wife and children. They're going to run to Egypt. Once they leave that gate, they're not going to ever come back. You understand?
Hmm.
They're
Yeah.
not, because Israel is a country is about real estate. It's about how much land they can acquire, steal. Right now, they have killed more than 50 or 60 Palestinians in the West Bank. So Hamas is not the problem because in the West Bank there's no Hamas, and you're still killing the settlers are killing Palestinians and taking over their home right now because they're taking advantage of the crisis in Gaza. It is a fucking terrible situation, man.
Yeah, like the IDF is absolute evil incarnate, and
Criminal.
the U.S. just ignores it, just glosses over their war
They
crimes,
can. They
and it just
scared.
speaks in platitudes. Israel has the
They
right to
can.
defend
Yeah,
itself.
I don't know.
Greatest ally. Every meme disseminated by the U.S. propaganda machine.
You saw what the
I cite Noam Chomsky's manufacturing consent because that's exactly what happens in
yeah.
these
I want to see
conflicts.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, and by the
I'm gonna
time
watch that
people
video.
realize,
Yeah,
hey, I've been sold bullshit because this was an objectively imperialist war, like
yeah,
it's decades after the fact. Well, like Vietnam, the Gulf War, Iraq, Afghanistan, like the
yeah.
damage has already been done because they lie and they lie and they lie. Um, I don't know. I don't know
What's
if you want to get back to the
yeah,
prageru
yeah. Look
video,
at the
but
video. But what's so hurtful is when you watch TV, they always they have people of the Israeli side, talking to mothers and sons, whatever, trying to create this affection mood toward these people, but they're not talking to Palestinian mothers or Palestinian activists or people who could present their side of the story. You understand?
Mhm.
When you have 4,000 Palestinian dead, and all the Western media is talking about there's a 1,200 Israeli Jews who died, then there's a fucking problem. Then you ask yourself, what's the exchange rate? How many Palestinians have to die to equal one Israeli to
Mhm.
satisfy that revenge mood that they have? I don't know
Yeah.
what that ratio is. Let's go to the video with this fucking guy.
Well, yeah. Actually, okay. Just talk for a couple more minutes. I'm gonna
Yeah.
use the bathroom. You've got a lot to say. You've got a lot
Okay.
of the
Well, yeah.
Palestinian talking
Put me
points
on full
memorized.
screen. Put me on
Yeah,
full
yeah.
screen.
Um,
All right, everybody. Well, so this is Omar from the Third Rail, the empowered man. I had problem with my camera, as you can see, and I couldn't join my brother free to have the conversation from the beginning. But there's a situation you have to understand that America does not have free will. Usually, when you have a superpower and a small country, usually the small country is the client state, right? Is the vessel state, right? What we have here is the opposite. The United States is the client state of the small country that's called Israel. It is so powerful. You saw what they did last week when the head of the ADL, I don't know what's his name, Gambler, whatever. He went on Morning Joe on MSNBC, and he said, "What's going on here? What's going? I love this station. I love this show, but who's writing the shows here? Hamas." Because when he said that, MSNBC got not did they get rid of, they just sidelined 3 anchors who are Muslims. Ali Valchi, he has this show on the weekend. They send them to Tel Aviv. Muhyiddin, Ayman Muhyiddin has a show in the weekend. They don't have a lot. They side him, and he's just like a contributor. And Hassan Mahdi or Mahdi Hassan, they sidelined him too. He has a show on Peacock and on NBC, and they just told the 3 Muslim anchors indirectly to take a break because the ADL complained. Now the ADL was today on MSNBC, and he was happy and he loved that stuff. That's what it is. I was explaining to them, free, like usually when a superpower has supposed a small country, usually that's a client state. The small country is your client state. It does what you want. It's the vessel state. But what we have here is the opposite. We are the vessel state. We are the client state to the small state. I don't know what's going on, man.
Yeah. Their lobbies are all up in Washington.
Okay,
I mean,
man.
it's the same with Saudi Arabia. Like they'll just have their lobbyists call up a staffer to say, hey, this guy wants to, ask Ted Cruz for, millions in campaign financing to just push Israeli talking points. We got to get money out of politics.
APAC. They have APAC.
Again,
is the
all in our own
Yeah, let's watch this one. Who's that? Let's go.
self-interest. First, the United States should front-load its financial commitment to Israel.
Wrong.
We have agreed to provide Israel $38 billion in defense assistance over 10 years. That's
all money that could have gone to American citizens.
Yeah.
In addition to giving Israel the financial wherewithal to purchase the weapons it needs, it also benefits the American economy. Under the agreement, we'll spend these funds on U.S. products, and it's happy to do so without adding a cent to the total.
He didn't say what the products are. You notice?
Yeah.
Changing
Yeah, he didn't.
It's the weapons.
Hey, my guy, Mr. European military officer. Why can't we use that $38 billion to onshore our manufacturing, to bring back jobs, and to stimulate the U.S. economy? Why can't we do that?
We got Americans sleeping in the fucking streets, man. You have 50,000 to 40,000 veterans who are homeless in the United States. 6,000 veterans kill themselves every fucking day. Forget it. You don't want to help the other homeless because maybe they have mental issue, maybe they have alcoholism or drug. Help the people who went to war and came back all damaged. The whole, America is like that drunk father who gets paid on Thursday, right? When he comes and he goes gamble the money, with the friends. But when he comes home and the wife says, did you get the kids milk? He starts screaming and yelling, how many times I got to give you milk? How many times I got to buy for this house? So he'll give us money. Yeah, he'll give us money away. But when it comes to his children, to his house, and nobody's getting anything, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This is how we are. We hate ourselves. Our government doesn't serve us. Good.
And these politicians who are so pro-Israeli talking about, no, we can't afford it. Debt and deficit. Oh, we'll need to eventually pay back the debt. Bootstraps. Don't rely on the government. It'll only make you dependent. Work hard. Bullshit. The only real dependent here is Israel. I mean, the country has no natural resources, which is why they've asked for cash infusions of billions worth of dollars so they can prop up some sort of tech sector in their country. And why are we spending so goddamn much? Well, okay, I'll tell you why. Because remember in the 1950s when the Israeli government, I think under Nasser, but I might be wrong, maybe another social democrat leader, he wanted to nationalize the Suez Canal, control of the Suez Canal, and all the Western powers of Britain, France, the U.S. bombed the shit out of it. Bombed the shit out of Egypt.
I know who joined the frenzy? Israel, for no reason.
Yeah.
It was the third. It was France and England, because they were partnership on the Suez Canal, which they built in 1889 or some shit like that. And Israel just joined them because it wants to prove that look, we could serve you here. We could do a lot of good here, and that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, we can fulfill our purpose and not just sit around in the desert all day, collecting your money. for
But right now,
zero reasons at all.
right now they are a liability to the United States, militarily, and people in that region hate the United States because of this unconditional support for a state that commits war crimes, kills women, children, anybody, and no question asked. And nobody's saying that you can't support Israel. You can, but you have to be a fair. You have to be a person of fairness. You cannot just give your unconditional support and not tell them, listen, you can't do that. That's no good. What
Mhm.
you're doing is wrong. You can't build all these settlements. That's theirs. That's their land. You can't kick these people out of their farms and give it to your settled. It doesn't do that. And when people react, they're like, "Look at those fucking Palestinians. I told you they're all evil. Look how they're always attacking Israel. Maybe they have a purpose there, my friend. Maybe they,
Wait,
yeah,
attacking Israel. Israel's slowly been settling Palestinian land, rightful Arab, culturally Arab, linguistically Arab land over the course of decades since
Yeah.
it was partitioned in what, 1948? So
they were.
how is Israel the one being attacked? Why isn't it the Palestinians are defending themselves, man?
They
I
have
don't know
every right.
what this flawed logic is. And
Yeah.
they'll constantly bring up, oh, Hamas radical terrorist group. I've posted this article on Twitter so many times. I mean,
Yeah.
Israel has continuously, propped up Hamas by proxy,
Yeah, yeah,
at the
yeah.
very least.
I had
I
a
mean,
debate with that. I had a debate with that guy Kevin Cassidy, that piece of shit. I
oh my
told him that.
God.
He said, "No, no, it's not. You're just making up shit." I said, "Listen, you just got a big mouth. You don't know anything." And that's. You see, I knew, of course, it was propping up Hamas as a way. What am I? Excuse me. As a way to wreck the Palestinian issue, this for statehood, to create this competition between the two Palestinian factions. They will fight each other, divide and conquer. That's what they call it, and that's all about it. He even they financed him. They gave them money. You think Israel will let them be there if they didn't serve the purpose? Now it just came back to bite them after that. When
Yeah,
that shit,
absolutely.
I saw the videos. I don't see them no more. I think they cleaned them up. The way they came, you see those movie Mad Max, with Mel Gibson, I think, is it Mel Gibson?
Yeah.
The movie Mad Max, when they travel and when they're on the gliders and all that fucking shit. I'm like, what the fuck? What am I watching here? It was crazy. The Palestinian, they've been planning that shit.
Yeah.
I don't
Rising
know.
danger presented by Iran and its proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas.
Well, yeah, because they like Israel. I mean, we made Iran geopolitically aligned against us because we ousted the Mossadegh government. When he decided to nationalize his oil sector, replaced him with a Shah who, had secret police running around and, tried to modernize way too fast for the Iranian people. I mean, Iran is fundamentally, Shia Islamic at its
Yeah.
core, and it's going to take
Yeah.
centuries, for people to, fully get away from that. So
Yeah.
what comes in the natural process of things is a radical Islamic government aligned against the U.S. for the crimes we committed against its former governments. So like, what do you expect? What do you expect? Which is why I agree with the decision of President Biden to actually release, frozen Iranian assets
Their
from the
money,
late
yeah.
70s. From the late 70s. So,
Yeah.
like the original owners of those assets, a good chunk of them have probably died at this point. And,
Yeah.
their lineage is just inheriting money that they never thought or even knew they would get.
Not only
And
that, some
those
of it,
assets are being tracked by the
it's state.
US, so
Some
they
of it,
don't go to terrorists, so they go to
some
humanitarian causes and grassroots Iranian causes. Go ahead.
some of it is state money. Free. It's because Iran used to sell oil. Iran and it was an ally of the United States during the Shah. But like you said, everywhere we go, every time we do something, it turns right against us. We went to Afghanistan. We were with those people, those Mujahideen. They destroyed the Soviet Union. Then instead of re-releasing them to society, try to reprogram them, give them jobs, and we left them to their own devices. And what happened? We got Al Qaeda, right?
Mhm.
We went to Iraq. We had a war with Saddam, who never had any issue with us, never attacked us. he
He
hated
was our
those
friend at
fucking-
one point,
and he hated
but
those
he
terrorists.
decided to take Kuwaiti oil, which is what made us hate him.
There's a background to that because they were being pushed by to saturate the oil market to $8 so they could hurt the Iraq's economy. There's a lot of story to it. So where we live, we got ISIS. Everywhere we go, like you say, Iran. We the CIA overthrew the government in 1953, I think it was. We got the Shah. The Shah then got destroyed. Then we got this fucking Khomeini guy. And when he came to power, he was taken to Iran on an Air France private airplane. So he was their boy for a second. There's a lot of game going on, a lot of dirty games going on, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money to be
An
made.
accelerated
That's what-
timetable would allow Israel to acquire critical capabilities like more F-35 attack squadrons, more refueling tankers.
Literally, okay, Palestine doesn't need Hamas does not even have an air force. It has like the most elementary rocket system, that they've developed themselves with,
Candy
just a
shotgun.
little bit of funds from Iran. Which, again, we turned Iran against us because of what we did. So why the fuck are you trying to justify, giving Israel so many F-16s or F-35s or whatever he said, I don't remember, when, their primary enemy does not even have a capable air force that even remotely rivals. It doesn't even have an air force. It has, what could qualify as an air force. I think it's like Force 14 or Force 16, but that's entirely under the control of the West Bank's military. And the West Bank's military, the official, Palestinian military, is entirely cuffed to the IDF. Well, like to the IDF. So what are you even trying to justify here, man?
The American military, in turn, benefits from these innovations.
How? Why? Why not just stay in the U.S. and defend ourselves from there?
Secretary Ashton Carter made this point. There's no question that American lives have been saved by Israeli technology.
Literally how? I mean, okay, in the sense that
we're gonna buy it
Americans
like
are
everybody else.
incentivized to move to Israel. Yeah.
Focused energy to neutralize targets. Such weapons will be needed and amidst highly focused cutting-edge projects we can work on together, such as directed energy
Look at this Star Trek bullshit.
weapons.
Yeah.
This new form of cannon emits highly focused energy to neutralize targets. Such
The
weapons
fuck? What the fuck?
will be needed to counter the spread of cheap, deadly, and plentiful mortars and drones from Iran and other bad actors. All this
Oh my
explains why I
God,
find it so
dude.
infuriating to see Americans
Like, I'm a fire in my laser. What this guy is essentially saying is, translated from neoconese into English that most people can understand, is that, okay, I want to give billions upon billions of dollars to this settler colonial fascistic apartheid state so I can maybe possibly hypothetically in the future develop a laser technology to counter drones and missiles. We already spend, like billions and billions on the Iron Dome alone, which, counters a good chunk of Hamas's, really elementary rockets.
Yeah.
So why do they need more? Oh my God.
especially young Americans, support anti-Israel groups like BDS,
Good.
boycott, divest, sanction, that want to weaken and destroy Israel.
Good.
Putting aside
It's an illegitimate state anyway. I mean, like the Orthodox rabbis who are actually learned in the Tanakh and other Jewish traditions, like the idea of an Israeli nation state even doesn't make sense to them because the nation of Israel, quote unquote, it's not really a nation. It's just the conglomeration of tribes originally descended from Abraham. And it's just a bunch of tribes which the Messiah was supposed to unite and then drive the Romans out of. So like, I don't. Zionism does not make sense under an Orthodox Jewish interpretation. It just doesn't.
democracy, it's self-destructive. Israel is on the front line of terror.
Israel is self-destructive. I mean, they constantly fuck with people who they
Fucking
shouldn't
bad
be
name.
intervening with. Yeah, and they wonder why are there so many terrorist attacks? Why is it always a forever conflict? We get involved.
This week, Israel is attacking Syria. It's attacking the airports. As we speak, every day it attacks the Air Force, attacks Syrian position, and they're not at war with Syria. They just fucking do it because that nation is weak right now from the civil war. But it shows you that this is a bad neighbor. Israel is a bad actor. It's shooting into it right now. It's shooting with Hezbollah. It's shooting with Syria. It's trying to make a widen the conflict. I think I don't know what purpose it has. But I think
Lebanese fighters have already been killed in this
Yeah,
intifada alone.
But I think Israel was shook by the attack. They never saw that kind of attack before, and they called 350,000 reservists for what? Fucking 10,000 or 5,000 guerrillas stuck in the fucking bay in tunnels.
Yeah, this doesn't make sense at all.
They, not us, are within missile range of Iran, Syria, Hezbollah, and
Okay, why do these crazy governments keep being kept on drawn in? I mean, Russia's backing the militants in Gaza. They're also backing up Iran, and they're buddy with Assad in Syria. Also, they're good with the mullahs in Lebanon. But these geopolitical rivals of ours all coalesce. Why? Maybe it's because we were getting involved there. Come on, like, how do you not see this, bro?
and Hamas. To the extent these enemies of
Yeah, Israel literally propped up Hamas.
freedom are held in check, they are held in check by Israel. And they ask from us
What freedoms, bro? What freedoms? I mean, a good chunk of why the Middle East is so conservative is because they retreated to Islamic fundamentalism to adopt an identity that rivals the U.S. I mean, like, us fucking with them is the cause of these forever wars. Like, okay, trivia question, class. Why did Osama bin Laden produce the original fatwa explaining, as to why he did 9/11? What was the rationale for his attack?
You see me? Oh yeah.
Well, it was directed to you, but I guess I'll
Okay.
answer.
Well, I know they had issue because of the military, the United States military bases inside Saudi Arabia on the Arab Peninsula. Because according to the Islamic religion, that the mushrikeen, or the people like a Christian and that, they should not be able to stay inside the peninsula where Mecca is. And he had issue with the Saudi government because they volunteered to fight Iraq and get him out of Kuwait, and they refused them, and they started the process of animosity and the whole process of hatred. But us in the United States, we're not getting nothing for our money. Don't believe this fucking
Yeah, this is lies.
this is a propaganda. This guy Prager, he makes about $18 million a year, and he says it's a nonprofit. Ben Shapario's company makes more than $100 million a year selling fucking bullshit and lying to Christian evangelists. This is who their crowd is. So the whole idea is that I don't want to, sometimes you can't say what you feel, but I hope I'm going to say fuck, I don't give a fuck. I hope the Palestinian resistance are able to push back and hurt the IDF. By hurting them militarily, they'll be able to go to the negotiating table and start the process, a real process of a peace, and offer the Palestinian a state without weapons, without any army. Nobody's saying, everybody's saying they don't even have to have an army, nothing. And they still won't give it to them. That's the only thing I'm hoping for that, man. I don't know, man.
And this was all because Israel, since the start of this third intifada, was withholding humanitarian, mind you, Palestinian aid that was supposed to be, coming through Egypt. So, like, this is all Israel's fault in the first place. Why do people not see it?
one U.S. soldier, only for military aid.
Like, okay, Osama bin Laden's fatwa complained of Israeli intervention in Palestine, the subjugation of them as a people, the erosion of their actual borders via the continued settlements over the course of decades, and the stationing of U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia. So, I mean, this is insane. Also, the Gulf War and the imperialistic actions of H.W. Bush. But yeah,
which they spend on American defense products to help defend American interests. We should give them that aid without reservation.
Imagine the humiliation of being occupied, and when you see your father get smacked and pushed around by an Israeli soldier at a checkpoint, or your mother is punched in the stomach if she talks, or you go to the market in Hebron, and by the time you come back, you have an Israeli family that has taken over your house, and you can't do nothing because the IDFs, according to Israeli law, they're there to protect the settlers. They're not there to stop them from doing anything. They can't. it is such a painful experience for the Palestinians to grow up and watch that. And if they have that hatred for the IDF and the Israelis, you can't blame people for having hate for people that oppress you. You understand? I
Mhm.
mean, humiliation is the worst thing to have as a man or as people or as a society. Even for example, Gaza has been under a blockade for almost 16 years, since 2006. That means, and the majority of Gaza's residents are under 18 years old. The majority, the old kids. This is a children are living in there, and they have been born. The majority have been born while their city has been under a blockade. The food is always not enough. Material to build is not always enough. Water, they said 80% of the water is undrinkable. So what are you doing, man? This is evil shit that these people are doing. Israel is an evil state.
Mhm.
And when you watch the mainstream media, I mean, fuck MSNBC. I'm not gonna watch them no more. I just tell the truth. You don't have to say the Palestinians are right, but don't let me watch and you're lying to the American public with your coverage. While me, as a bilingual man who's Arabic and has roots in the Middle East, I could watch other channels in Arabic. I could give you an advice if somebody's listening. Watch Al Jazeera English. They have a beautiful channel. It's an English channel. It's
Mhm.
more quieter than the Arabic one because the Arabic one is like Fox News, but they go. For example, right now there's no media inside Gaza. Nobody's allowed to go in there. Only Al Jazeera's in there because they were in there before the incident happened. Even they won't let people find out what's going on.
Yeah.
And to judge these
Yeah.
people,
Israel also, and although it wasn't confirmed, it was totally Israel. That they literally shot that American Palestinian journalist because
yeah,
they didn't want her covering what was actually going on in the West
she,
Bank in an
I,
honest manner.
Abu Aqid, I know her for almost 20 years. She's watching her for a long time. I don't watch Arabic a lot now. I used to watch a lot, but since I lost interest because I have nobody there, like family or anything like that. So my problem right now, I'm more occupied like with the Democrats, the Republican, domestic issues
Mhm.
that affect us here. But she's a Catholic. She's not even a Muslim. She's from New Jersey, and she was killed in cold blood by a sniper on purpose. Trust me, it's on purpose. And the United States didn't even bat an eye. No investigations. Nobody got arrested. Nobody even got reprimanded in the Israeli army. It's just they don't care. Palestinian
She was an American.
Americans, yeah, Palestinian Americans. Oh, just Palestinians. Their value in life doesn't matter. I'm telling you. Even when you watch now the mainstream media, the legacy media report the incident in Gaza, when they mention they are concerned more what happened on October 7th than what's going on since October 7th. Every day right now in Gaza is an October 7th to the Palestinians. You understand?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, all
Sure,
we want,
Justice
we
Prageru.
agree with you. Hamas, is a resistant movement. What they did, if they did kill women and children, fuck them. They're wrong. We're gonna condemn that. No woman or child
Israel
should ever
propped
be.
them up.
Yeah, no women and child should be killed, no matter what. No, even if they're enemy, no matter what. Even that's why I don't believe it. Free. I was watching like the videos, right?
Mhm.
They release videos. You can't watch them on American TV. When the Israeli, I saw a lot of Israeli soldiers killed, and one of the militia, whatever the Hamas, he was stepping on one of the face and he was kicking them, and he said, "You fucking child killers." His commander came and pushed him and hit him with the butt of the bullet. He said, "Don't desecrate dead bodies." He said, "He's dead. He's dead. That's it. There's no reason. I don't want nobody to desecrate these dead bodies here." So if they come out there telling them not to discriminate, how are they gonna rape, and kill and behead 40 children? All these fucking stories you're making up. First of all, Hamas is an Islamic movement, and they are very religious, and they adhere to the rules of the Islamic under warfare. You don't kill women and children, the elderly. You're not even supposed to cut a fucking tree in the way. So all that shit is bullshit. There was no rape. I have a
Mhm.
video of a guy. He said, "Oh, they were bleeding from their private parts." What a fucking thing to say on TV and on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and every time they
We
lie, it just blows up in their face. Anyway,
yeah.
good.
But Saves us blood, our blood.
No, it's not. Our escalation and our continued funding of Israel doesn't even seem to correlate in the slightest with a reduction in conflict. You know what does? Actually,
Okay,
coming to the negotiating table and giving people their rightly deserved humanitarian aid. You got to have some empathy here, and you can't just default to the rockets and bombs.
It's also the right thing to do. I'm
The right
joking.
thing to do is to come to the negotiating table and negotiating a peace deal.
Chuck Wald, United States Air Force, for Prager University.
You are a fracking billionaire-backed paid shill.
You can hit. I'm not even wearing the head. Huh?